Guys, welcome back to the channel, and today I'll be talking about Steve Cooper's sacking at Leicester City. Huge news coming out of Leicester, real shock. But before we get into it though, don't forget to hit that like button as it really helps the video out. Subscribe to the channel as well, and without further ado, let's get straight into it. Yes, Steve Cooper has been sacked by Leicester. This comes after a 2-1 home defeat to Chelsea. And yeah, it's a real shock to be honest, but once you start delving into the stats, you kind of do start to see why he was sacked. Only 2 wins from his last 12 league games at Leicester. The players not really seeming to adapt to his style of play. You know, when you look at them last season under Maresca in the Championship, and they seem to be more attacking, more aggressive, more, you know, pressing, but now they just seem like they're more of a sluggish team, which Steve Cooper's known for. You know, look at his time at Forest. Never really had a great style of play. You know, wasn't going to rip up any trees with his sort of tactics, but he got the job done. And yeah, he just, for me, it didn't adapt well to Leicester. You know, coming from a huge change with Enzo Maresca to Steve Cooper, the players didn't really look like they were invested in Steve Cooper's way of playing. And you look at their results as well. You know, they drew to the likes of Ipswich, Everton, and even Crystal Palace. You know, the Crystal Palace, yes, they're a good team, but they're in a really, really bad set of form, and to get them like that is rare, and you need to take that chance, and they didn't. They got a draw there, got a draw against Everton, who can be hit and miss, you know, not doing too bad in the league, but maybe should be picking up with 3 points there, especially the game that they had. And Ipswich as well, you know, they're not doing too great this season. A lot of people are looking at Ipswich if they're going to survive, if they're going to, you know, go down. And they're a relegation rival at the end of the day, and they've got to get 3 points there in order to secure their safety. And when you look ahead of time, and then comes to the 30th or 35th game of the season, and you're looking at them previous games and going, probably should have beat Ipswich there, probably should have beaten Everton, you know, just to keep us afloat. And maybe that's what the Leicester owners were looking at, in terms of they should have got those results, they should have beat those teams, and expected better basically from Steve Cooper. Obviously it's high expectations, you know, they've just come up from the Championship, but you know, they're the Premier League standards, and Leicester, the owners, know what it takes to stay in the league. You know, they had a few seasons where they were, you know, floating in and out of relegation, but they end up going down, and they know what happens. They know the process and what needs to be done. And in this case, it was to sack Steve Cooper. And you look at his post-match interviews as well, you know, he starts to point the fingers at officials, you know, and maybe the owners looked at it and thought maybe they are excuses rather than reasons. And, you know, he's sort of trying to cover himself for maybe poor tactical displays, or, you know, any shortcomings that they had. And again, Leicester, they're a Premier League proven side. They, in terms of club, they know what it takes to stay in the league, as I was saying, and they know what it takes to win the league as well. So it's fine margins, and you know, it's a club that demand the best basically, and Steve Cooper hasn't delivered to that. But when you do look into it as well, he signed a 3-year contract at Leicester, so surely the owners would have seen that and put that deal on the table and thought, yes, there's going to be ups and downs, but they trust Steve Cooper and the way he plays, and you know, his philosophy. But why would you sign a 3-year deal just to sack him 12 games into a season? It doesn't really make any sense. They are currently sitting 16th. They're outside the relegation zone, which begs the question, why would you pull it now? Why not wait a few more games? And considering as well, last season all 3 promoted teams got relegated, so they're not doing too bad in terms of that. You know, they're keeping afloat, they're doing their thing, but yeah, they pulled the trigger, and maybe it was a bit premature. They should have waited it out, saw how Steve Cooper, you know, dealt with the pressure in terms of, you know, in the 20th or somewhere around that mark, the 20th game, and just sort of see that mid-season point where they're at and what they can do to be better. If that means sacking him, if that means keeping him. And yeah, I just felt like they just pulled the trigger a little bit too soon. And also coming into the season as well, they lost their best midfielder in Dewsbury Hall to Chelsea. You know, that was a big loss. And they tried to place him with Oliver Skip, who didn't really look up to the races, to be honest, and nowhere near Dewsbury Hall's levels, who has kind of disappeared from Chelsea, to be honest, not really seeing much of it. Lost Kelechi Iheanacho as well in the summer on a free to Sevilla, so it's a big loss. He's a Premier League proven player who can score goals in this league. and to lose a player like that is big. So what comes after this sacking? A lot of managers are being rumoured to take over the job, their top target being Graham Potter, who would be, I think, would be a great replacement. You know, he's taken Brighton from a sort of mid-table team to them, you know, knocking on the door for Europe, and possibly he could do the same with Leicester. Obviously had a great transfer strategy at Brighton, which obviously helps him a lot. But yeah, I can see him doing well at Leicester. It'll be a challenge, most definitely. One he's probably never faced before, but yeah, I think that'll be a good appointment. Also, Ruud van Nistelrooy as well has been linked with, which I don't think is a good sign. Sort of more of a risk than Graham Potter because, you know, Van Nistelrooy, he hasn't been proving in the Premier League. Yes, he done well in Holland, but this is a different level, and I don't think Van Nistelrooy will be a good replacement. And when you look at upcoming fixtures as well, they've got the likes of Brentford away, who, you know, that'll be a tough game, and I doubt they'll get much hope in that, to be honest. But they also got West Ham at home, who are in a bad spot, you know, and maybe the owners again are looking at the game thinking we need a win in that game, and a new manager coming in, that's going to be a huge sort of game for them in terms of how they're going to be seen by the owners, because West Ham aren't great. They're not doing great this season. Yes, they have the players, they're much better players than Leicester, but it's all about form. And if they don't get that result over the line, then maybe, you know, that's when the players will be looked at rather than the manager. Brighton at home, who they'll probably lose to. You've got Newcastle away, who again, they'll most likely lose to. But also Wolves at home, you know, and that will be a huge telling point because Wolves are struggling this season. They're not doing great. And again, the owners, with these high expectations they seem to have, will be another key game, just like the West Ham ones. Who do you think should replace Steve Cooper? A lot, as I said, Ruud van Nistelrooy, Graham Potter maybe, or another suggestion of your own. Let us know in the comments down below. And were they right to sack Steve Cooper? Let me know in the comments down below, because I can see both sides, but I would have probably waited a little bit longer in order to sack him. But yeah, again, let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And yeah, we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.